Let's take a look at developing some good policies and practices for integrating online machine translation into the second language classroom. First, it's important to create clear expectations in your syllabus. If you look below this video, you'll see some resources. The first link is to an example of a syllabus for you to view, and the second link enables you to make a copy of this syllabus and adapt it to your own needs. You will need a Google Plus account in order to make copies. Secondly, create clear instructions in your assignments that reflect your policies in your syllabi. And again, there are resources below this video. You'll also need to create clear expectations in your rubrics. Finally, you will need to clearly outline your own online machine translation expectations and policies. I have some resources to help you do this, including videos as well as a review quiz. Even if you set out clear guidelines, expectations and policies, some students will continue to use it poorly. Don't feel discouraged. There are several reasons that students may use it poorly. One, they may just lack time and organization and use it as a crutch. Secondly, they may be product focused rather than process focused. Also, they may lack first language comprehension. This can make second language acquisition particularly difficult. And finally, they may just lack an interest in learning a foreign language. Do play around with Google Translate. It's important to know how it works and be aware of some of the errors and inconsistencies in the translations. Also, adapt and revise your expectations and policies to fit your teaching and your students' learning. And do remember you will need to reiterate these expectations and policies throughout the semester. Students perhaps will not be used to having an instructor that integrates online machine translation. Let's look at 3 different ways that you could integrate Google Translate. Firstly, for language production. Secondly, analysing and comparing language. And thirdly, for translation. Online machine translation can be used as a tool to help second language learners when writing. Studies have shown writing directly in the target language without any aid requires more effort on the part of the learner. This additional effort may limit the quantity of language students produce. For beginner students, using a translation tool such as Google Translate may enable the learner to write more extensively than with no tool. Since the 18th century, translation as a second language teaching strategy has fallen in and out of favour. More recently, there's been a resurgence in translation as a teaching methodology. Studies have shown translation into the target language can be used to improve the linguistic proficiency of foreign language learners. Using machine translation to integrate translation into the second language classroom may be beneficial to the second language learner. Here is an example of a translation assignment using a poem. The first text is part of a poem written in English, and the second text is the poem after being translated through Google Translate. Poetry provides an interesting translation task. Poetry often contains symbolism, rhyme and meter, as well as conveying emotions and double meanings. It does require that the student closely examine the language. As you can see in the example, the initial translation through Google Translate has several errors. Students can examine the input and output text, compare word choices and examine how different words change the meaning and emotion of the poem. Excerpts from literature such as novels and plays also make good translation tasks. Do run the text through Google Translate first to make sure the text doesn't already form part of the Google Translate database. For beginner students, you could choose from children's storybooks or comics. For more advanced learners, you may choose newspapers or magazine articles, but it's important to put their translation through Google Translate first. Finally, online machine translation may be used as a strategy to analyse and compare first and second language. This process may allow the learner to examine the grammar, vocabulary and sentence structures of both languages. Here's an example using multiple reflexive verbs. I hope you found this informative. And always, here's the references used in order to make this video.